Good morning and welcome to Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. And live at MarketSite, I have Liron Damri. He is the co-founder and COO of Forter joining me. We're talking about the Uber hack, cybersecurity, all of our favorite subjects here. All right, before we get into the Uber hack, tell us all about Forter's business and what you guys do.
Yeah, so happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.
I think that there's a very, very exciting times for commerce, and most of the online shoppers doesn't know, but roughly 10% of all the online shoppers get declined or hassled throughout the checkout process, meaning that they either get a decline when they try to shop or getting too many questions and too much hassle in the process. What Forter did is basically developed its automatic algorithm that reviews way more elements, data elements, than anyone else that could do it manually. And we try to reduce the amount of customers that have those trouble during the checkout process by very much focusing on targeting the fraudsters better. We catch them better. We identify them early on in the process. And by that, we just focus on them and reduce the hassle for most of the other people.
I would imagine there's a lot of news around the Equifax hack, the Uber hack. We had the Target hack a couple years ago. I would imagine that there's a lot of hacks that were saved with all the work that companies like yours do, stuff that we don't even hear about.
That's absolutely right. If we look at the ecosystem on the dark net, they have their own party right now. In the dark net, they have promotions, they have coupons. You can buy, give stolen credit card and stolen information in the dark net. And this has been thriving in the past 2 years, ever since the biggest Target breaches that we've heard about. And it's clear for us that there are way more of those breaches that we don't know of. And these ones are actually the ones that we're concerned the most. We can report a consistent growth in not only the amount of attacks, but also in the level of sophistication. So if stealing credit card online was somebody that cool guys, quote unquote, used to do just for fun a few years ago, now it's that's mobsters who are doing it like with organization behind them, with logistics. It's much more expensive overall experience, and in that sense, we're fighting a much tougher job. We have a much.
It's actually a business in itself. Hacking. It's making a lot of people a lot of money.
Absolutely. That's a whole different marketplace. That just a parallel universe, if you like.
And think about it though. If you shopped at Target, which a lot of people do.
Yep.
You had to get a new credit card because that was compromised. A lot of people, whether or not they're Equifax customers, your credit is constantly going through their systems. And then Uber, like I'm a habitual Uber user, right? So what are the security implications for consumers? You can't avoid being online.
Correct, and you cannot avoid, and that's our basic assumption today, that the new normal is that our data is exposed. Like basically, ever since the Equifax data breach, we just assume that every piece of information that we have, including the most secret ones, including Social Security, including all the financial documents, have been breached. It's all about making sure that you're aware, and once something happens and something is weird in your account, you'll be able to notify the authorities. I think that on the other side, it's also very important that, on our side of the industry, that we work together, work collaboratively, make sure that once there's a hack, we don't negotiate with hackers, but rather have this as an open dialogue across the industry. It's also very important that I think that across the commerce industry, as we try to ramp up those levels of securities with automated algorithms that actually go through and try to browse around and catch those guys, because if you just try the traditional ways of catching them, like have a person who is reviewing the transaction, it doesn't work anymore.
Right, they're too far advanced. I was kind of surprised with the Uber hack. They only paid out $100,000. I thought they would have tried to extort a lot more.
So my sense is that we don't really know the story yet. It will unfold, and I'm not sure that we know how big and deep was the breach, and how effective was it. I'm not sure that we would actually know.
Because $100,000 doesn't sound like it was highly sophisticated.
I
would ask for a lot more if I had.
I couldn't agree more. This is why I'm like, yeah, it doesn't. We'll wait and see
that's
how
really
actually.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your insight and for joining us at MarketSite. And as always, thank you for joining me for Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Yeah, that was my initial reaction. I was like, $100,000? It sounded really